good afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon, the 6th of October. And I've been talking in videos off and on about owning a small and medium business, why it's important to do that. Actually, I haven't talked about why it's important to do that. I've talked how to be successful with it, learning from some of the fortune that we had and then retro thinking about why that happened, and then all the education we took to make sure that the future would be equally good and successful, or win. And it's got to be a win-win for both sides of the deal. I'm going to make a really short clip. It's Sunday, and I tend to keep that mostly for my family and my Lord. But I wanted to continue with my 90-day challenge. This is number 19, I believe, so time has moved on. But I want to talk about some of the reasons why you want to own your own business, even if you have a job. It's real important to understand that having a job is okay. I preferred not to have one over time very often. I've had a few, and I probably am in the 5-10% of the population because most people like what's so-called that security. But if we have learned in the last 5 to 8 years, if you've learned anything, jobs don't seem to be secure currently. Yeah, you can get one that pays well, and you can get a bunch that don't. But with all the layoffs well, we won't get into that, but they just haven't proved to be any more secure than any other way to create an income for you and your family in the last decade or so. But there are some reasons why you would want to own your own business. I tend to think specifically when you work from home, but it's not essential. You can own a franchise or something else, and there are some reasons I put together to keep this video, 6 minutes or less. We're probably 2.5 into that already. And there are some really good reasons, and I want you to be aware of them. Even if you don't have a business, but you've been thinking, we got to do something else. And so most people go get a part-time job, and that pays probably a third less than the job you have that's your primary one, and some people get a third one, and that pays even less than the second one. And what you do is, for minimal dollars, you lose maximum time from your family. When I quit my job as department head of microbiology special chemistries at a hospital, I had to work fairly hard, and initially, but my goal was more time and more income, of course. Wasn't just the money, but it was for, and here are the reasons that you might want to have your own business of some type. A home-based business of whatever type you can think of. There's many different varieties out there. I'm not going to get into that unless you want to comment below and ask me for some suggestions, because there are some good ones out there to have to think through. But one thing you get is scheduled freedom. Scheduled freedom is amazing, because you tend to get to do things on your terms rather than being told when to come to work, when to go to the bathroom if you can, when to take your lunch break or other breaks, and you have to keep it within a couple of minutes because it's all scheduled out for everybody, and whatever business it is needs coverage, whether it's telephone coverage, on the floor coverage in retail, etc. But here's a story about me that I think is important. When my son was 13, I have a son, Lori has a son, and together we have, as a blended family, I said that a long time ago, we have 2 children, and we love them both. But Dick was the one who visited here, is the younger of the 2. And I became a single dad, raised him from 13 to 21 by myself. It usually happens the other way around, but that's not what happened this time. And because I had my own business, I was able to attend every school event, teachers meeting, sports events that he was in. He was in a couple of things. Violin concert, because in Maine schools you have to choose an instrument in 4th grade, and then you get to pick one for the rest of your school career until you get out of high school. That's just required, and I think that's great. And he got really good at violin. The first year wasn't so much fun, but after that he caught on how to get it, and he became a master as far as you can go up to the senior year in high school. He had a fan base from the teachers, students, and their parents, and he was first chair right from freshman year through all of high school, I was proud of him, and he would just make me cry when he played. In the event, I attended all the functions at school, and I was one of very few dads among all the moms. Wouldn't it be great for you to find a way to create second streams of income so that in case something happened with the first one, or to give you leverage and pressure so that you were confident that you didn't care about the first one if you got grief for wanting time off to go to your child's activities, that you could do that. Go to those activities. Enjoy your children while you have them rather than someone else enjoying them, and make them feel special when they looked up into the stands or the chairs and they saw your face smiling at them. Because they didn't necessarily want you there for them. They went there for the event. They went there for the sports teams. They went there to meet their friends. But as kids, they always seem to have in the back of their mind, where's my support team, which is mom and dad. And that's a great reason to own your own business. Another reason to own your own business is you can get more time for what you want to do. And that may take a short while to get there, but that's okay. And another example. Again, I'm speaking from what I've learned in 30 years and ongoing in business. But I did have a job when I first got out of college and graduate school. I liked boating. My dad got into it. I had told you that before. He had bought 3 boats. The last one was a good-sized one, but we had six. He and Mom had 6 kids, so they had a crew to run it as well. And by 9 years old on the ocean, I was taking my own turn at a 4-hour watch, navigating, following compass courses, doing so in fog, docking and landing. You know, I mean, my dad just taught me everything. He took power squadron courses, etc. And so myself and one other brother, Joe, who's the brother I mentioned to you earlier that had passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease last year, he and I both followed Dad's footsteps and got into boating. He went into power boats, as my dad had done, and I went into sailing because I loved the challenge of being free without a life support or really too many mechanical devices. It's just a different feeling, but I like both kinds of boats. And Lori and I were able to own a 36-foot, I guess you'd call it a yacht. Sometimes they call them pocket yachts if you're not over 40 feet, but 36 is pretty close. And, you know, and we took a month off every summer and cruised around with our kids and enjoyed life. And that would not have happened without leverage of other people and having my own business. Lori had her own business. In fact, Lori and I both started in the business world from other careers initially, and I wouldn't know her for 20 years until she had sold off her interest in her business. You know, and so recapping here, you know, you get scheduled freedom. You can attend your child's events at schools and stuff. Be one of the few dads, because the moms are always there, seeming like, but not necessarily today anymore. Everybody's working so hard just to get by, and that's strange. More time than what you want to do. You get to learn leverage to outsource stuff. Another really important reason is this: if you're employed with a W-2, you get very few tax advantages. Now, you may have heard this before, but it's so accurate. You don't get to write off what Lori and I get to write off, even though we are quasi-semi-retired. Because we're really not. We're too motivated. We're too motivated people to just hang around and look at the bubbly water. You know, I mean, we like helping other people reach the same goals we have as early as possible in life. I'm not a tax accountant, so this is my disclaimer here, but I have been in charge of our finances and meetings with tax accountants for 30 years in business. And currently our tax accountant is in Louisiana, and we've had him for 10 years, and he's the best in the field of running home-based businesses. That's almost exclusively what they do. So they know that like the back of their hand. And every time we've looked at our taxes and said, well, it should be this way here, they said, no, you can do this, and saved us tons of money over time. But there are some real benefits right now where you are with what you have. Mileage. When you leave your home and go to work at your job, you cannot deduct that mileage. But if you have a home-operated business, home-developed business, your office is your home. Lori and I have the 30-second morning commute from bedroom to the office. And so that's where we leave from, and every bit of mileage, minus about 20% for personal things, doesn't raise a flag. You can deduct all that mileage. So how does that work if you own a business and you have a job? I would ask your accountant, but I would certainly, if you're going to be sharing your ideas or sharing a technology or sharing something about your business at home or how it's operated, and you're going to meet with people, I would meet with them. And you can deduct the mileage from your home office to your appointment, but not to your work, your regular job. So you figure out how you do that, but I read between the lines, but that's what you can do. And that's all within the tax law. Nothing illegal. A lot of meals you have out. I do lunches a lot with people and have discussions. And the discussions are to learn from each other. I use this little video camera, this Kodak ZI-10. That's just the size of a small cell phone, but it's a great camera. And I use this all the time. And you saw the one with Radhika, the gal from India who took over our Liberty Mutual accounts from our current gal. She was her assistant. In any event, I asked him, hey, you want to meet, and therefore I'll let you do a minute to a minute and a half video about you, and I'll post it on all my social networks. So I'm helping somebody. It's a win-win idea, and they get to talk about their business, and I post it on my website. Now, what does that do? It helps the other person. How do I win? I've got a physical record of that business meeting and luncheon so that if I get audited, I can prove I did what I did and deduct the expense. Got to think about that. All the education you would have in a field that you're endeavoring to be in away from your job is tax deductible, even if you pay for online courses and take them at home. Mileage to those educational things, if they're not online, are deductible. All our PCs, this ZI-8 camera I'm using now, I have a Samsung Note 2 cell phone. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than most, but I'm really liking the size. I'm going to sell my tablet. Anybody want that? Option below. I have a great Toshiba Thrive packed with apps and stuff that I've located over the last 6-8 months. But all that office equipment, printers, papers, everything you can think of is tax deductible. And that helps you save money from your job. Because you may not have known this, but in your job, when you fill out your W-4, you can deduct more than you and your spouse and one kid. You can deduct the maximum 9 if you want to. You ask your tax accountant how that works, because I'm not a tax person. But I know you can do it because I've done it, and it's perfectly legal. And then you add the deduction you have as a business, and then you will find out how that works to put more money in your pocket right now with what you're doing while you take the time to develop that second stream of income, which could turn into multiple streams of income from that other source. A home business doesn't have to be just one other source of income. Depending on what is the home business all about, service, product, something, you can develop more than one source of income. I think this has gone long enough. And I was reading through some Facebook posts this afternoon after I got done meditating on the sermon we had at church this morning. And a friend of mine, Rachel Jackson, you may or may not know her, she's a really sharp gal, young gal, and let's say multiple six-figure earner right now. Wasn't that way a year and a half ago. But she is now, and she's flying high, and she's doing it right in the field that she chose. There's a lot, as I said, there's all kinds of different fields. And I'm going to read to you what she told me this late afternoon. She goes, you do things now that you don't get paid for today so that you can get paid for the things you don't do tomorrow. You let that settle in and think about that. The law of leverage is involved in that saying, and a few other laws, but I'm going to let you think about it. If you want to know the whole answer, comment below. We want to have an engagement process with you, the people watching these videos, because I know there's value here, because it's helped Lori and I be where we are today, and it's helped other people by some of the comments we're getting on private messaging on Facebook and stuff. All this is going to go onto a blog to Empower Network that we're just finishing getting set up. It actually comes pretty well set up, but I'm trying to customize it a bit. And you have a good one. Ciao.